The tavern had become an impromptu interrogation room. Claire stood with her back to the wall, watching Zelpar carefully. Krazak remained at the table, his forearms crossed. Other mercenaries formed a loose circle around them, curious about what would happen next. "Start talking," Claire said to Zelpar. "Who put you up to this?" Zelpar's green skin had a sickly pallor. The Draxian Mining Consortium, the same group that hired Krazak 10 years ago. They'd been trying to push humans out of this sector for decades. Krazak hissed in surprise. The same people. After all this time. They never forgave the loss of that facility on Beryl 6, Zelpar explained. It cost them billions in mining rights. They've been working quietly, building influence, waiting for a chance to strike back. Claire's expression remained neutral, but her eyes were alert and calculating, and they thought attacking the diplomatic team was the answer. "The team is here to sign a new trade agreement," Zelpar said. "It would give human mining companies access to 12 new systems. The Draxians would lose their monopoly." Claire nodded slowly. "So they sent you to gather intelligence, to find a way to stop the agreement?" "Yes," Zelpar admitted. "When Krazak refused to help, I panicked. The Iron Talon offered to do the job for even less money. They seemed confident. And now they're in custody," Claire said, "along with whatever evidence they have of your arrangement." A new figure entered the tavern, a human male with short gray hair and a weathered face. He wore simple civilian clothes like Claire, but moved with the same alertness, the same economy of motion. "Captain Allen," Claire said with a nod. "I thought you were with the diplomatic team." "They're secure," the man replied. "I came to collect our friend here." He looked at Zelpar with cold eyes. Zelpar seemed to shrink even further into his seat. "What will happen to me?" "That depends on how helpful you are," Captain Allen said. "We need names, communication records, financial transactions, everything you know about the Draxian operation." "I'll tell you everything," Zelpar said quickly. "I have records, account numbers, meeting times." Allen nodded to Claire. "Good work, Bennett." "As usual." Claire smiled slightly. "Just happened to be in the right place at the right time, sir." "That seems to happen a lot with you," Allen replied with a hint of amusement. Krazak watched the exchange with interest. "You knew," he said to Claire. "You were already tracking the Draxians." Claire shrugged. "We suspected something. Diplomatic security is my job now, but I didn't know about Zelpar or the Iron Talon until tonight." Allen placed a hand on Zelpar's shoulder. "Let's go. We have a lot to discuss." As they moved to leave, Zelpar looked back at Krazak. "Thank you," he said unexpectedly, "for refusing the job. You probably saved my life." After they left, the tavern slowly returned to normal. Conversations resumed. Drinks were ordered. But the atmosphere had changed. Mercenaries spoke in hushed tones, glancing occasionally at Claire, who remained at the table with Krazak. "So that's why human diplomats are often former special forces," Krazak said. "You're always watching for threats." "Old habits," Claire admitted. "Once you're trained to see patterns, to anticipate problems, you never really stop." A young Voldarian approached their table hesitantly. Krazak recognized him as a rookie mercenary who had arrived in the sector recently. "Is it all true?" the young mercenary asked. "About human special forces?" Krazak looked at Claire, then back to the rookie. "Every word. And remember this, there are 3 rules in our business. Get paid up front. Never break a contract." He paused for emphasis. "And never, ever take a job against human special forces." Claire smiled and raised her glass in a small toast. "You know," she said to Krazak, "stories like yours make our job easier. Fear is a powerful deterrent." "Is that why you let us live?" 10 years ago, Krazak asked. "Partly," Claire said, "but also because unnecessary killing isn't our way. We're not monsters. We're professionals, just like you." Krazak nodded slowly. "Different sides," Same respect for the craft. Exactly, Claire agreed. And that, more than anything, is why alien mercs won't take jobs against human special forces. It's not just fear, it's professional respect. Zelpar shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The mood in the tavern had changed. What had started as a simple business meeting had turned into something else entirely. It seems I have much to reconsider, Zelpar said carefully. Claire nodded. Smart decision. A notification chimed on Zelpar's personal device. He checked it, and his green skin paled to a sickly white. Is something wrong? Krazak asked. Zelpar looked up, his 3 eyes wide with fear. I may have made a mistake. Claire's expression sharpened. What kind of mistake? I approached several mercenary groups about this job, Zelpar admitted. When you refused, Krazak, I contacted others. Krazak's upper hands clenched into fists. Who took the job? A new group, the Iron Talon Collective. They arrived in this sector only recently. They didn't know about human special forces. They thought I was offering too much money for a simple job. Claire stood up. Her relaxed demeanor vanished. Suddenly, she looked taller, more alert, more dangerous. When did they leave? 2 standard days ago, Zelpar said, his voice barely a whisper. The tavern erupted in murmurs. Several mercenaries shook their heads. The Torgathan clicked his mandibles rapidly in distress. Those fools, Gorth rumbled. They have no idea what they're walking into. Claire tapped a small device on her wrist. Bennett to command. We have a situation at Outpost Epsilon 9. Hostile mercenary group en route to the diplomatic team. Request immediate alert to Captain Allen and his security detail. She listened to a response only she could hear through a small earpiece. The Iron Talon Collective, she continued. Unknown numbers. Likely well-armed but inexperienced with HSOG tactics. Yes, sir. I'll remain on standby. Krazak watched her with newfound respect. The casual diplomat was gone, replaced by a soldier reporting for duty. What will happen to them? Zelpar asked. To the Iron Talon. Best case, Krazak said. They'll be captured, disarmed, and imprisoned for attempting to attack a diplomatic mission. And worst case, Zelpar pressed. They'll never be heard from again, the Torgathan said bluntly. Claire finished her communication and turned to Zelpar. You've created an interstellar incident. The attack on a human diplomatic team violates at least 7 treaties. Zelpar seemed to shrink in his chair. I never meant for anyone to actually attack. I just wanted information about the diplomatic mission, to know their weaknesses. Then you should have asked, Claire said. We're diplomats. Communication is our job. A new alert chimed on Claire's wrist device. She checked it and gave a small, knowing smile. That was fast, she said. What happened? Krazak asked. The Iron Talon Collective has been neutralized, Claire said. Their ship was intercepted before it reached Epsilon 9. Captain Allen's team boarded and secured the vessel without casualties on either side. How many HSOG operatives did it take? Gorth asked. 2, Claire replied. The rest of the security detail remained with the diplomats as a precaution. The tavern fell silent again. 2 operatives taking down an entire mercenary ship. It confirmed everything Krazak had been saying. Will there be consequences for me? Zelpar asked, his voice trembling. That depends on your cooperation, Claire said. We'll need a full statement. All your communications with the Iron Talon. Your reasons for targeting a diplomatic mission. Everything. Zelpar nodded quickly. Of course. Whatever you need. I'll cooperate fully. Claire's wrist device chimed again. She listened to another message, then looked at Zelpar with hard eyes. It seems the Iron Talon has already started talking. They claim a Nexian businessman hired them to attack the diplomatic team and steal sensitive information. She paused. They also mentioned a very large payment. Zelpar's eyes darted toward the door. Krazak's upper right hand grabbed the Nexian's arm. Don't, Krazak said quietly. It will only make things worse. He's right, Claire said. Your only option now is to help us understand who put you up to this, because I don't believe you acted alone. Zelpar looked from Claire to Krazak and back again. He saw no escape. There are others, he admitted. Powerful people who don't want this diplomatic mission to succeed. Zelpar looked at Claire Bennett with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The tavern remained silent. Even the usual background noises of drinks being poured and conversations seemed muted. So humans deliberately spread these stories, Zelpar said, trying to regain his composure. To create fear, Claire shrugged. We call it force multiplication. Why fight if you don't have to? A reputation can be more powerful than any weapon. It's more than stories, Krazak said. Every mercenary in this room has either faced human special forces or knows someone who has. The outcomes are always the same. Claire took a drink that the bartender had quietly placed before her. You haven't told him the most important part of your story, Krazak. Krazak nodded slowly. No, I haven't. He turned back to Zelpar. After we surrendered, when Rivera was questioning me, I asked him something that had been bothering me. What was that? Zelpar asked. I asked why they had only sent 5 operatives. If the mining facility was so important, why not send a full military force? Krazak's forehands tightened around his glass. His answer chilled me more than anything else. The tavern was completely still now, everyone listening intently. Rivera said they weren't there for a military operation. They were just a reconnaissance team, gathering information, testing defenses. Krazak paused. What we faced wasn't even a real attack. It was just 5 humans checking things out. Murmurs spread through the tavern. He told me that if they had wanted to, they could have called in what they call a full strike team. 20 operatives instead of 5. Specialists in every form of warfare, with proper military support. Zelpar's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. And you believed him? I've seen the records since then, Claire said, entering the conversation again. The mission was classified as preliminary assessment, low priority. The Torgethan clicked its mandibles nervously. During the Sevas conflict, we captured a human communications officer. Under questioning, he revealed that their deployed forces were what they called a minimal presence, just enough to maintain strategic interests. Gorth, the Berlaxian, rumbled in agreement. The 2 HSOG operatives on the Death World told us the same. They were just scouts. If they hadn't reported back, Earth would have sent a full team to investigate. Claire nodded. That's standard procedure. But why? Zelpar asked. Why not send your full force from the beginning? Resources, Claire replied simply. Earth has many interests across many systems. We can't send full teams everywhere, so we train our people to operate independently, with minimal support and maximum effectiveness. She leaned forward. Think of it this way. Most species send 100 soldiers to do a job that requires 100 soldiers. Humans send 5 soldiers who can do the work of 100. Krazak continued his story. Riverat explained their approach to me. He said human special forces don't rely on superior numbers or even superior technology. They rely on superior training, intelligence gathering, and psychological warfare. The most dangerous weapon in human special forces isn't their guns, Claire added. It's their minds. They're selected for problem-solving abilities, adaptability, and psychological resilience, then trained to enhance those qualities. That's why no one will take your job, Krazak told Zelpar. Fighting human special forces isn't about strength or numbers. It's like playing a game against an opponent who has studied all your moves, knows what you'll do before you do it, and has prepared counters for every possible action. And they enjoy it, the Torgethan added. The challenge, the problem-solving. They call it thinking outside the box. Zelpar was silent for a long moment. I see, he finally said. Then I'll need to find another approach. Claire's expression hardened slightly. I'd reconsider whatever you're planning regarding that diplomatic team. The HSOG members with them aren't there by accident. Are you threatening me? Zelpar asked. No, Claire said with a small smile. Just providing valuable information. For free. The tavern had grown even more crowded as Krazak told his story. Word had spread, and other mercenaries had come to listen. Some nodded along, while others leaned forward, eager to hear more. But that was just your experience, Zelpar said, though his voice lacked conviction. Perhaps you were unlucky. A rumbling laugh came from the Perlaxian's table. It wasn't just him. The massive alien stood up, his head nearly touching the ceiling. My name is Gorth. I ran security for a Halaxian research vessel 5 cycles ago. We were studying a death world. Extreme heat, toxic atmosphere, predators that could melt metal with their spit. Gorth walked over to their table. His skin was like granite, covered in battle scars. Our scientists found something valuable there. I never knew what. But soon after, our long-range scanners picked up a human ship. They sent down just 2 HSOG operatives. 2? Zelpar asked. Just 2, Gorth confirmed. We thought they would die within hours. The planet was lethal to most species. We had to wear full environmental suits with backup systems. But they didn't die, Krazak guessed. They not only survived, they thrived, Gorth said, shaking his massive head. They built a shelter from local materials, hunted the same predators that were hunting them, established a base right next to our research station. They lived there for 3 months. 3 months on a death world. Zelpar's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. The humans have a term for it, Gorth said. Living off the land. Their special forces trained to survive anywhere, using whatever they find. One day, both operatives simply walked into our research station through the front door. No weapons drawn. They just wanted to talk. Gorth lowered his voice. They had been watching us the entire time. Learning our routines, they could have taken the station any day they wanted. Instead, they negotiated. Their price for leaving us alone was simply information. What we'd found, nothing more. The Torgethan clicked his mandibles loudly. I have a story, too. The 6-legged alien moved closer. Torgethan eyesight is the best in the galaxy. Everyone knows this. But during the Sevas conflict, I was outshot by a human sniper named Great Baker. He killed our commander from 3 kilometers away, through a dust storm, with a projectile weapon. That's impossible, Zelpar said. I thought so too, the Torgethan replied. Until I saw the recording from our security feeds. 1 shot. Perfect placement. We never even saw him. Later, we found his hiding spot. He had been there for 6 days, not moving, barely breathing, waiting for the perfect shot. A slender alien with translucent skin joined the conversation. The humans call it patience. Their special forces can wait for days for the right moment. No restlessness, no boredom, complete focus. Krazak nodded. That's what makes them different from other species. Most of us evolved as ambush predators or prey animals. Quick actions, quick decisions. Humans evolved chasing prey to exhaustion. They can maintain focus longer than any species I've encountered. Zelpar looked increasingly uncomfortable. These are just stories. Exaggerations. A new voice spoke from the entrance of the tavern. They're not exaggerations. Every head turned. A human female stood in the doorway. She was small compared to most of the aliens, with dark hair pulled back tightly. Nothing about her looked dangerous. She wore simple civilian clothes with no visible weapons. Yet the entire tavern went silent. Several mercenaries straightened their posture. Claire Bennett, Krazak said, rising from his seat. It's been a while. The human woman nodded. Hello, Krazak. I heard someone was asking about taking a job against an HSOG team. Her eyes, sharp and alert, fixed on Zelpar. The Nexian shrank in his seat. Just gathering information, he said quickly. Claire walked into the tavern with easy confidence. Information is valuable. So let me add some. She sat down at their table uninvited. Everything you've heard is true, and the stories they haven't told you would make these sound tame. Krazak noticed something in her eyes, the same look Rivera had. The look of someone who saw everything, calculated everything. "You're one of them," Zelpar whispered. Claire smiled slightly. "Was. Now I'm a diplomat. But once HSOG, always HSOG. We never really retire." Zelpar leaned back in his chair, visibly unsettled by Krazak's story. The other mercenaries in the tavern remained quiet, many nodding in recognition of shared experiences. "So you surrendered," Zelpar said. "What happened next?" "They bound my hands and sat me down in the facility's main control room. Lieutenant Rivera stood in front of me, still looking as fresh as the day they landed. No signs of fatigue, no wounds, not even dirt on his uniform." Krazak's 4 hands flexed at the memory. He wasn't gloating, wasn't angry. He just started asking questions. Why we were there, who had hired us, what we knew about the facility. "Did you tell him?" the Torgethan asked from across the room. "Of course I did," Krazak replied without shame. Professional courtesy. The job was clearly over, but I also asked him questions of my own. Krazak signaled for another drink. I asked him how 5 humans had defeated 15 elite mercenaries without firing a single lethal shot. He seemed to respect the question. He told me they had been watching us for all 3 days, learning our patterns, our weaknesses. "From where?" Zelpar interrupted. "You said the jungle was thick." "That was what shocked me most," Krazak said. Rivera smiled and pointed up. They had been living in the trees, right above our patrols, sometimes just meters above our heads. They took turns sleeping in harnesses strapped to the trunks. The Brelaxian gave a low whistle of respect. Rivera explained that human special forces train in every environment on their home world. Deserts, mountains, jungles, Arctic tundra, even underwater. They can adapt to any conditions, survive on minimal supplies, and operate behind enemy lines for weeks or months if necessary. Krazak's drink arrived. He took a small sip this time. While Rivera talked, the rest of his team brought in my captured mercenaries. All alive, though some were injured. The human medic, Gonzalez, was treating them. Even Telk, who had fired thousands of rounds into the jungle trying to hit them. "They showed mercy?" Zelpar asked, surprised. "Not mercy," Krazak corrected. "Strategy." Rivera explained that killing us would create enemies. Letting us live to tell the story would create respect, fear, a reputation. The Nexian's eyes blinked in sequence as understanding dawned. "They wanted the story to spread," he said. "Exactly." Rivera told me something I've never forgotten. He said, "The best victory is when your enemy chooses not to fight you at all." They were playing a longer game than just this one mission. Krazak continued. "They showed me footage from their helmet cameras, how they had moved through our defenses, how they had studied and countered each of our security measures. They knew the mining facility better than we did, despite us having the schematics." "How?" Zelpar asked. "They had studied similar human facilities. They understood how their own people think, how they build." Rivera said human special forces spend more time training their minds than their bodies. They run simulations, study past missions, plan for every possible scenario. Krazak stared into his drink. "The female, Lewis, showed me how she had moved through our motion sensors. They had mapped the detection grid by throwing small stones and noting where the alarms triggered. They found the blind spots within hours. And Blackwood, their tech specialist, he showed me the devices he planted. Simple things, really. Nothing we couldn't have built ourselves, but used in ways we never considered." Krazak looked directly at Zelpar. "Rivera asked me another question that day. He asked if I would ever take another contract against human special forces. I told him the truth. Never again." He nodded like he already knew my answer. Zelpar was quiet for a moment. "So they just let you go? All of you?" "With our wounded, yes. but not with our weapons or our ship. They kept those, said it was confiscation of illegal equipment. They gave us enough supplies to reach the nearest outpost, and a warning: stay away from human settlements. And the mining facility? Asked the Torgathan. When we left, the humans were still there, waiting for their own people to arrive. 5 of them, holding a facility meant for 100 workers. Krazak finished his drink. That's why I won't take your job, Zelpar. Not for any amount of credits. Zelpar shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The tavern remained quiet as Krazak continued his story. The 3rd night was when everything fell apart. We were down to 7 mercenaries, including myself. We pulled back to the main building of the mining facility. Better walls, fewer entry points. We thought we'd be safer. Krazak laughed bitterly. The humans didn't need to enter. They had us exactly where they wanted us. What do you mean? Zelpar asked. As darkness fell, we heard them. They were using the jungle itself as a weapon. Calls and noises that echoed all around us. Sometimes they sounded like they were right outside our walls. Sometimes like they were kilometers away. We couldn't pinpoint their location. The Torgathan clicked his mandibles nervously. Psychological warfare. Exactly, Krazak said. And it was working. Telk, our Saurian heavy gunner, started firing at shadows. Wasted half our ammunition shooting at nothing. Krazak closed his eyes briefly, remembering. Then the power started flickering. Just for seconds at first. Our backup systems would kick in. Everything would seem fine. Then it would happen again. Random systems would fail. Communications, sensors, lights. Never the same ones twice. The human tech specialist, the Berlaxian, rumbled. Yes, a male named Paul Blackwood. He hadn't fired a single shot, but he was taking us apart system by system. We discovered later he had planted tiny devices throughout the facility during the day. How he got in, we never knew. Krazak's upper hands clenched into fists. That same night, I tried to contact our ship in orbit. We needed to leave, mission or no mission. But all we got was a human voice on our comm system. A female voice, calm and pleasant. Who was she? Zelpar asked. Maria Gonzalez, their communications specialist. She told us she had taken control of our ship's systems. She even played us the audio of our own pilot trying to break her encryption. Then she played the sound of our ship's engines failing. Krazak took another drink. We were trapped. No way off the planet. Our perimeter defenses were down. Communications jammed. And somewhere out there, 5 humans were circling us like predators. The Nexian's 3 eyes widened. What did you do? What could we do? We prepared for a direct assault. Set up barricades. Positioned our remaining fighters at key points. We still had superior firepower. If they wanted the facility, they would have to come through the front door. Krazak shook his head. But they didn't want the facility. Not yet. They wanted us afraid. Exhausted. Making mistakes. Did they attack? Zelpar asked. In a way. Around midnight, the power went out completely. Emergency lighting only. Then we heard small explosions from different parts of the complex. Not to destroy, just to create chaos. Krazak's voice grew quieter. In the confusion, they took 2 more of my team. Just gone. No shots fired. No alarms triggered. One moment they were at their posts, the next they had vanished. How is that possible? Zelpar demanded. The human called Winters. Larry Winters. Demolitions expert. The explosions were distractions. While we were looking at the fires, he was slipping past our defenses, taking our people. The tavern was silent except for the faint hum of the air recyclers. By sunrise, there were only 3 of us left. Me, Drav, and Solt. We barricaded ourselves in the control room. No windows. 1 door. Solid walls. We thought we were safe. Krazak laughed, a hollow sound. Then the vents started pumping in some kind of gas. Not lethal. They could have killed us at any time if they wanted to. This was just to make us sluggish. Drav panicked, tried to run. The moment he opened the door, there was Rivera, waiting. One dart from a silent weapon, and Drav was unconscious. Krazak stared into his empty glass. Solt charged him. Solt was a Krevlax warrior, twice the size of any human. Rivera sidestepped like he was dancing. 3 strikes, so fast I barely saw them, and Solt was on the ground, unable to move. "And you?" the Nexian asked. "I surrendered," Krazak said simply. "Only a fool fights when defeat is certain." Krazak took another drink before continuing his story. The memories were still fresh, even after 10 years. We landed on Beryl 6 during the rainy season. The jungle was thick, hot, and wet. Our employer, a Draxian mining corporation, told us we just needed to secure the facility and keep out troublemakers. They didn't mention the facility had been taken from human settlers, or that Earth was sending someone to check things out. Zelpar leaned forward, clearly interested despite himself. The facility sat in a clearing surrounded by dense jungle. Modern defenses, auto turrets, motion sensors, the works. We set up patrols and settled in. Easy credits, we thought. The Brilaxian mercenary gave a grunt of understanding. "You got comfortable." "We did," Krazak nodded. "That was our first mistake." He traced a pattern in the condensation on the table. 3 days in, our long-range scanners picked up a small ship entering the atmosphere. Just a simple shuttle. We tracked it to a landing site about 20 kilometers from the facility. "The humans," Zelpar said. "Yes, 5 of them. We sent a drone to observe. They were unloading equipment, setting up a small camp. Nothing special, just standard gear. They wore simple uniforms with minimal armor. We weren't impressed." Krazak's upper right hand unconsciously moved to a scar on his neck. Our second mistake was underestimating them. I sent 4 of my team to deal with them. "Just bring them in for questioning," I said. The humans seemed to be just sitting there, eating rations around a small fire. But they weren't, were they? The Torgathan clicked. No, the 4 I sent never returned. No distress call, no signs of struggle in their biofeeds, then nothing. Just silence. Their trackers showed they reached the human camp, then all signals stopped. Krazak's eyes narrowed at the memory. I should have pulled everyone back right then, but we still thought we had the advantage. 11 skilled mercenaries with a fortified position against 5 humans. Zelpar's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. What happened next? That night, the jungle came alive. Strange noises, animal calls, but not quite right. Our sentries were jumpy. Then our communications started glitching. Random static, false alarms from the perimeter sensors. The tavern remained silent, everyone listening intently. I doubled the guard rotation. Sent 2 of my best scouts, Vrak and Tellus, to check the perimeter. They reported nothing unusual before they went silent too. By morning, we had lost 2 more. Krazak's voice grew quieter. 5 of my team gone, without firing a single shot, without a single alarm. That's when I accessed the facility's database and looked up human military history. What I found kept me awake that next night. "What did you find?" Zelpar asked. "That humans are different from any species we've encountered. They evolved as pursuit predators. They can track prey for days, running creatures to exhaustion. Their special forces train in every environment imaginable. They willingly put themselves through conditions that would be considered torture for most species." Krazak gestured to the barkeeper for another drink. Their leader was Lieutenant Frank Rivera. I saw him briefly through my scope that second day. Just a glimpse. He didn't look special or dangerous. Average height, average build. But his eyes. Krazak paused. His eyes were calculating every weakness, every angle, every approach. The drink arrived. Krazak drained half of it in one gulp. The jungle gave them perfect cover. They moved like ghosts. We had thermal sensors, but somehow they masked their heat signatures. We had motion detectors, but they knew exactly where the blind spots were. It was like they could see through walls. How did they do this? The Nexian asked. That was what scared me the most. They didn't have better technology. They just understood our technology better than we did. One of them, a human female named Diane Lewis, she slipped into our compound that second night. I saw her on our internal cameras before they went dark. She moved like water, flowing around our sensors. Krodzak looked directly at Zelpar. That's when I knew we were in real trouble. That's when I understood what HSOG really meant. Krodzak sat in the dimly lit corner of the tavern, his scaled fingers wrapped around a glass of blue liquid. The four-armed Voldarian mercenary had seen more battles than most beings in the galaxy had seen sunrises. His leathery skin bore the marks of countless fights, each scar telling its own story of survival. The tavern door slid open with a mechanical hiss. A slender Nexian with pale green skin entered, his expensive clothes marking him as someone with money to spend. The Nexian's eyes, all three of them, scanned the room before settling on Krodzak. You are the one they call Krodzak, yes? The Nexian asked, sliding into the seat across from him. Krodzak nodded once. Depends who's asking and how much they're paying. The Nexian smiled, revealing teeth that looked like polished stones. My name is Zelpar. I have a job that requires someone with your skills. He placed a small device on the table and pressed a button. A holographic image appeared showing a space station. This is Outpost Epsilon 9. A human diplomatic team will arrive there in 3 standard days. And you want them gone, Krodzak finished, taking another sip of his drink. Yes, they are becoming too influential in this sector. The payment will be substantial. Zelpar slid a credit chip across the table. The number displayed would be enough to buy a small moon. Krodzak raised an eyebrow ridge. That's a lot of credits for a simple job. The team includes 5 members of what humans call their Special Operations Group, the HSOG. Zelpar said this as if it were a minor detail. Krodzak's hand froze halfway to his mouth. The blue liquid in his glass rippled as his hand trembled slightly. He set the glass down slowly. No, he said. Zelpar blinked all 3 eyes in sequence. I can offer more. I said no. Krodzak pushed the credit chip back across the table. Find someone else. I don't understand, Zelpar said, genuine confusion in his voice. You have taken jobs against forces twice your size. You once infiltrated a Drazian nest fortress. Your reputation says you fear nothing. There's a reason no reputable Merc in the galaxy takes contracts against human special forces, Krodzak said. His voice had dropped to a near whisper. Around the tavern, other mercenaries, a hulking Berlaxian, a 6-legged Torgithan, and several others, had gone quiet. They were listening. Explain this to me, Zelpar demanded. They are just humans, soft creatures with no natural armor, no claws, not even decent teeth. A low chuckle rippled through the tavern. The Berlaxian shook his massive head. You haven't been in this business long, have you? Krodzak asked. He gestured to the barkeeper for another drink. Let me tell you a story. About 10 standard years ago, I led a team of 15 elite mercenaries, veterans all. We took a job from the Draxian Empire to secure a mining facility on Beryl 6. The Torgithan mercenary clicked his mandibles together. I've heard this one. Didn't end well for you, did it? That's putting it mildly, Krodzak replied. We weren't told the facility had been taken from human colonists. We weren't told Earth had sent a small team to investigate. How small? Zelpar asked. 5 HSOG operatives, just 5. Krodzak's eyes seemed to look at something far away. Their leader was a human male named Frank Rivera. 5 against 15, and you worry. Zelpar scoffed. 5 against 15, Krodzak repeated. By the 3rd night, only 4 of us were still alive. The tavern had gone completely silent now. Even the barkeeper had stopped wiping glasses to listen. What happened? Zelpar asked, his voice barely audible. Krodzak took a long drink from his fresh glass. Rivera happened. Lewis happened. Winters, Gonzalez, and Blackwood happened. He set the empty glass down with a thud. Human Special Forces happened. Tell him, the Berlaxian rumbled from his table. Tell him why none of us take those jobs. Krozak nodded slowly. It started like any other job. We landed, we secured the perimeter, we settled in. We were confident. After all, we were 15 of the best warriors from across the galaxy, armed with the finest weapons credits could buy. He leaned forward, his 4 arms resting on the table. We had no idea what we were really facing.